welcome to the range where you come to shoot the shit. I'm your host, Diaz, the Combat Barber, and today I have a special guest for you. He's a multiple Icon Award-winning national panelist with eXp Realty. This is Jeri Sheats. Welcome, Jeri.
Thanks, man. I appreciate you. Appreciate you having me on here.
Awesome. So the reason why I want to have my different clientele on here, especially yourself, is I want to branch out and show some people different things that they may not be privy to. So I know that you're pretty successful with real estate. I personally have never bought a house. So one of the things that I wanted to bring up is rather, if I've never bought a house, I want to know what to expect, what I can do to help myself, because you're dealing with so many different people. I don't want to bog down your time. I want to get into a house that fits me in the least amount of hassle as possible. But to build up that rapport, how about you start with your background, how you got into it and all of that?
Yeah, sure. I've been in real estate for actually almost exactly 4 years now. Before that, I was an architectural designer. That was my trade background, drafting and design, computer aided design, that sort of thing. For 15 years, I was with a small design firm up in Newark, where basically I designed custom homes. We did anything from small additions, finished out basements, all the way up to big, custom McMansions. I did a number of different communities, that sort of thing. So I was in sort of the residential real estate realm, right? But a little more in the construction side of things. After moving up the ranks in that career, kind of just felt like I needed a change, just ready to shake some things up a bit. Real estate felt almost like a lateral step, right? Like something I could build off of my previous experience. So, basically there was really not a whole lot of thinking from there. I jumped right into real estate, got my license. Within 6 months, I had completely removed myself from my architectural job. I got way too busy doing real estate, that sort of thing. So yeah, I guess, like I said, about 6 months, and I've been full-time real estate. From there, I do about 40 to 50 transactions a year at this point.
That's pretty impressive.
But yeah, that's pretty much it. But no, to kind of touch on what you're asking, as far as, if I have a new client looking to purchase a home, I get a call. Typically, I start communication with a buyer.
I just called you up.
Yeah, I would say, typically it's 3 to 6 months out from when they're going to actually start, looking, right? And the conversation really is, hey, I think in the next few months or so, we're going to be looking to buy a house. The very first thing I want you to do is I want you to get hooked up with a reputable local lender, a mortgage company that you can talk to, somebody you can meet with, and they can explain all the financing, all the mortgage options out there, something that's going to best fit you, right? And I do work with some really solid people that are local to our area. But that would be the very first step. Now, once the time gets closer, we want to go ahead and get your pre-approval nailed down. We want to know the price range you're shopping in. So when we start looking at homes, we know what we're looking at. So if you do come across something you do like, you can jump right on it.
So you're not shopping for a Bentley on a Honda Civic budget?
Precisely.
Gotcha.
So pre-approvals are good for around 90 days.
Okay.
So basically we want, as we move closer to when you want to be in your home is when you want to really go ahead and get your pre-approval done. And then we're going to go ahead out and get shopping. Typically what we like to do is I like to send my clients, if you're looking for a home and you gave me your wish list, right? It's got to have 4 bedrooms, 2.5 bathrooms, basement, that sort of thing, right? I'm going to send you a handful of homes. You'll probably have a handful of homes that you like. From that, let's say 7 to 10 homes. I'm going to say, okay, let's pick the 5 that you could absolutely see yourself in. If you walked into them and the pictures in real life, it looks as good as the pictures show, right? You could see yourself living there. Now, from that 7 to 10, we're going to whittle it down to 3 to 5. Now, to that bundle, that 5, there's 5 houses. That's what we're going to tour, okay? If in the perfect world, it's not always perfect, but if we go out and tour those homes one day, more than likely the buyer's going to choose from those houses and we're going to write an offer and go under contract.
Plus, we're also looking at all of those because we're not guaranteed we'll get those houses because there's other people looking at the same time.
Correct.
So it's better to have a couple of different options. That way you don't get heartbroken, settled on one, but hey, it's off the table now.
Correct. Absolutely. Okay. And in, real estate market's forever changing, right? It's always, it's always moving. So right now, over the past couple of years, it's been a hot seller's market. So inventory is super low. There's a lot of buyers out there. We're at historic low interest rates. So we have tons of buyers, low inventory, which means anytime something good, the cost goes up. But anytime something good pops up on the market, that's clean and is priced correctly, it's going to go like that. So it's one of those things where you want to have your ducks in a row when you're going out to look, and because we don't have a whole lot of time or opportunity to sleep on things. So following that, following those parameters, you're going to be able to get under contract with your house rather quickly.
Okay. So I should have a little bit of a list kind of set up with what I want out of a house, what I have to have, what I can't live without, and also like some tedious things like, oh, I could do with this, I could do with that. Just kind of have a general list before I even approach a realtor. That way it'll kind of streamline, because you're saying that the market is pretty fast going right now. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't help to drag my feet. So the better prepared I am for you, the better you are to help me.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what I always tell my clients that, there's a chance, or pretty much 100% chance, you're not going to find the right home in your budget that has absolutely everything. All right. So if you have 10 things that you must have in your home, you have to start weighing the pros and cons of, if we can get 7 or 8 of those top 10 things that you need in a house within your price, we have that conversation. So what's it worth to give up maybe, having one of those must-haves in your home, and so you're not looking forever.
Plus, you can always add stuff on later on. Like if it's not the right painted walls.
Yeah, things that like finishes, painting, really anything like that can be easily changed. Now, if you're talking adding rooms, that's obviously a lot more expensive, bigger headache.
Have to get zoning and all that stuff.
But yeah, 9 times out of 10, somebody's going to buy a house, they're going to paint it anyway. Almost all the time somebody has something they want to do with flooring in at least one room, right? So there's always going to be things you're going to do to make it yours. You know what I mean? So I try to prepare my buyers particularly to have this open mind, not get stuck on trying to find the absolute most perfect place. All right, it's maybe we could say like, let's be perfectly imperfect, right? So as close as we can get. So that's kind of the way, and nothing ever goes exactly 100% that way.
It's kind of like having realistic expectations.
Yeah, exactly. We try to do this, but sometimes it just takes weeks to find the right house.
Okay.
It's not always one afternoon of showing houses. Sometimes it's a couple here or there. Sometimes, buyer's schedule or my schedule is limited, and we can only have time to go see 1 or 2 houses an evening. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it might take 3 nights a week to go hit the 3 to 5 houses. You know what I mean? So,
well, speaking of your schedule, I know that personally, because I have a pretty decent rapport with you, I know that you're a very busy man. You're a family man. You have 2 awesome kids, loving wife. You do CrossFit, and then when the season's in, you go hunting.
Yep.
But also, you said that you do 40 to 50 transactions a year. And you were saying that each person should wait but has about like a 3-month processing time. How do you do that? That just doesn't seem like the math adds up.
Yeah. So,
and you're successful at it.
Yeah, it's definitely been a learning curve. Definitely been a huge learning experience, and it's really nailing this stuff down as time goes on. So over the past 4 years, our production has gone way up. Responsibility has gone up. In that 4 years, we had our second kid, that sort of thing. So my thing was I have to dial in everything that I do in a day, in a week, into systems. I try to keep with my schedule the best I can. None of us are perfect. I don't always get to the gym, but I try to go 4 to 5 days a week. But I don't always get up super duper early, but I try to hit those things, especially when I know my day's jammed up. But basically with my business, starting with that is I've over the past couple years have dialed in all the things that I know I have to do to ensure that I keep having business in my pipeline, I've got that whittled down to about 3 hours a day where I could, prospect for new business in the future in an hour, 60 to 120 minute, time blocks. I have an hour time a day where I'm going to do all my follow-ups with people that I've talked to in the past. I'm going to have a time block where I'm going to deal with things that are going on right now. And I know if I could just keep to those few things, then my sales pipeline stays full and it keeps moving, right? So if I'm always lead generating and I'm always staying in touch with people and I'm always handling the daily tasks, then every single day I'm moving the needle just a little bit. And that just piles up over time.
Now, when I was a personal trainer, my clients seen the best success when I tried to teach them slow, incremental changes where you're not taking everything on all at once. You're building up these changes to make them tolerable, but making them long lasting. Is that something that you did? Like you kind of trial and error had to find this pipeline that works for you and basically keep what was working and then trashing everything that didn't.
Yeah.
And this is where you're at now?
Exactly. Because there's no one size fits all. Like what works for me probably won't work for you, even if we're in the exact same business, right? So, anytime I try to help another realtor or anybody ask me to, help them build their business or help them set things up like mine, I tell them that, here's how I like to do it. Here's how I like to time block my activities at this time of day. Maybe your time of day is in the evening. I know what works. I know where my schedule gets busy. I know, 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock in the afternoon is crazy. The house is nuts. People are coming, the wife, kids are coming home. It's dinner time. There's this, that going on, or showings are going on. So I know if I wait till the afternoon, my day's starting to get away from me. So I've got to do the most important things in the early part of the day. That's for me. Other people are the exact opposite. So yeah, trial and error, find what works, stick to that. Just like you said, if it doesn't work, I'm not doing it. I like keep things stupid simple. I'm not like a crazy smart guy or anything like that. So, I need things really dumbed down, really easy. And, because in any business, especially not, real estate, there's no reason to overcomplicate things. Right. So
I like to be able to move on the fly and adjust with everything that comes at me.
Yeah. And that's another thing. If something does change, it's not a million moving parts that have to go along with it. So, but yeah, the short answer to that is definitely trial and error. I know what works now for business and for my life, for make sure I have time for the kids and the wife and going to the gym and that sort of thing.
Nice. Now, with going to the gym too, I used to be in shape. I kind of let myself go since I started cutting hair because when we're talking about, like, say, building our business, I was basically the same thing. I found what worked for me. I utilized social media and I just kept on plugging and plugging and plugging and plugging. Mm-hmm. And it got to the point where I was completely overbooked. So I employed a booking app that just streamlined everything. Mm-hmm. And I managed to get a little bit of my life back because I was getting phone calls, text messages all the way to like midnight, 1 in the morning about trying to book or reschedule clients.
Yeah.
And that's all well and fine, but I didn't have that mental freedom where I felt like I actually had control of my life. It was all work all the time. Now, I know that with working out, I'm starting to have a little bit more time, so I'm trying to get back into that area. And I remember before I had my business, working out made me feel amazing, like mentally clear, sharp. Now, with your business, because it sounds like there's just a lot of moving parts, because I know we've just kind of scratched that surface. Do you think that the working out kind of keeps you mentally sharp and keeps you, at least, even if you're completely stressed out, it keeps that stress level down so you can take on more?
Yeah, absolutely. There's nothing bad comes from taking care of our body. I heard, actually, it wasn't that long ago, I heard somebody say that our body, our health and fitness, that's our first business, right? That is your business. So you do all these things to take care of your barbering business or your real estate business, but what are you doing with this business, right? So if you start with that, everything else is going to be easier. I know if I fall off, my diet goes to hell, or if I'm not going to the gym, if I miss like a week or whatever, like everything starts to fall. Like you feel like crap in the morning. You're not as sharp. You're not like, when you're talking on the phone, I talk on the phone a lot.
I can imagine.
If I'm making like tons of dials or whatever, I just don't feel on. I feel like I don't know what I'm saying. And it always comes back to, I'm eating like crap. I'm not drinking my water every day or that sort of thing. So 100% makes a difference. And it, honestly, just from the moment your feet hit the ground in the morning, alarm goes off, you're going to jump right out of bed, or you're going to like, oh God, I'm hit the snooze button, or I don't feel like getting up today, I'll do it tomorrow. Yeah. If I'm not going to the gym or if I'm eating dirty, that's how I'm going to feel. But if I'm eating clean and I'm firing all cylinders, man, you can't stop me. And I'm sure you know the same feeling. You know
Definitely.
what I mean?
Like for me, it's also my back gets super tight because my arms are up all day because I'm cutting hair.
Yeah.
So that's kind of why I'm trying to get back into shape. Not even just because I care about how I look, which I do, but it's more about how I feel.
Yeah.
But also I try to bring the best version of me for my clients that I can.
Yeah.
I'm not always successful, but I try my best. But I find that when I feel better about myself, it's easier to put that back out. And for me, when I'm trying to either keep my clientele happy or gain more clientele, I find that if you're not telling, you're not selling. So if I'm happier, I'm going to be more outgoing because positivity is contagious.
Yep.
So do you kind of do the same thing where you go out and you're just continuously talking to people and trying to spread, if you will, the gospel of the good word about what you do?
Yeah. So, nobody, the last thing someone wants to come off of is like salesy, right? Like just like, oh God, here comes Jerry, always going to talk about his real estate. You finesse ways to work in the conversations. For me personally, in our business, all I want to do is, if I can make sure anytime in your world you think about real estate, you think about me, then that makes me happy. So whether that's just, I see you once every couple of weeks, right? Mm-hmm. And sitting in a chair and we chat, how's business? And we might talk for a minute about something that's going on in business. You always think about that. Now, the rest of the 90% of the time we're in the chair, we're
smoking
BSing
and joking
about other things, right? So it doesn't come off salesy, but I know I'm in your brain, right? I know if you thought about real estate, or if you saw a house that you'd like to see or whatever, you're going to call me first. At least I hope you do. So
for sure.
And it's different for different people in my world. So other pieces of that would be like just being present. So if I get involved in communities, I just want to be present in my community. I want to be able to come from a place of service I do have a true servant's heart. So it is very much, real, and I'm passionate about things. So that's the easy side of it. So just being present, working certain things in the conversation. What you don't want to be is a secret agent. So you would never not want to tell anybody that you cut hair, right? That you're a barber. You want people to know that because that's how we run our business.
I literally put that on everything.
Yeah, exactly. So that's I don't like the old school sales tactics, that sort of thing. I don't go for that. It's really just
slick back hair, gold tooth.
Yeah, exactly. The unbuttoned shirt with the chain hanging out. Nah. But yeah, I just tried to find ways to make sure I'm in the forefront of people's mind when it comes to real estate.
Nice. Speaking of that sleazy salesman, I used to sell cars, but I did it a little bit different. What I did is I basically tried to leverage myself as an expert. So I may not know everything, but God damn it, the things that I do know, I'm going to help you out with.
Yeah.
So then I started to transition and look at myself more as someone that can help you. I am a problem solver. Whereas other people that were on the lot with me, they were car salesmen. They were just sales. So what I've kind of found was when you're worrying about money, when you're worrying about numbers, i.e. your sales, you'll see neither. But when you put your clients first, you actually want to help them out, you're going to see both because it's client efficacy. Yep. They're going to ride for you. They're going to just tell everyone about you because the way that you make them feel because they don't get that vibe off of you. Now, that doesn't mean that I sold the most cars, but I had the best reviews. People were trusting in me, and to me, that meant the world to me. Because I don't care if I make the most amount of money, but I want to have a good reputation. Like, I don't need to be famous. I just need to be solid. And what you were talking about being present, what I gathered is being consistent. Like, if I was a part-time barber, I don't know how many times I've been asked, is this the only thing that you do? And I know with real estate, it's the same thing. So you have people that are like branching out, but for circumstances, they're not able to like say what you did and just dive right in both feet.
Right.
Do you think it's easier when you're just full committal? Because when you're saying you're out there with the community, like they know, oh, Jerry, he's a real estate agent. He's not like working 3 jobs but also sells houses. So
Yeah.
there's that kind of that hesitancy.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
do you think that helps?
100%, because I've had certain clients that have said to me, one of the reasons they use me is because I do so much business and I'm full-time and I'm 100% committed to it, versus someone that does it passively or part-time or maybe is a lower producer. So it 100% makes a difference. You know, they know that I'm committed to my career, and this is 100% what I do. You know, sadly, there is a lot in my industry that people are doing it part-time or you know, a little bit lower on the transaction side, so they have to have another job to supplement income. I mean, I think the average realtor nationwide, I think, like sells like 5 houses a year, which works out to be like, you know, you could probably make more money working full time at McDonald's. You know,
Gotcha.
there's anything wrong with that, but it's
sure.
not.
If you're going to spend all this time getting licensed and everything,
Yes.
you want to have some sort of benefit from
Yeah,
it.
exactly, because it's not cheap to maintain a license, to get your license and maintain it, you know, year after year, continuing education and all the fees and all that jazz. So, you know, it's definitely something that you want to have a full time income to make it worth it. You know, and plus it is something that takes a lot of time, schedule wise. You know, so especially if you're first starting out, your schedule can be all over the place before you really get your systems dialed in and all that stuff. You know, to kind of, you know, circle back what we started with really is the magic or the key is systemize everything. You know, so it doesn't mean a machine does it. Doesn't mean it's automated. It means I have non-negotiable times to do these tasks, and it's that system I'm following because I'm not practicing real estate. I'm running a real estate business. Even though it's just me and one assistant, it still has to be run like a business. You know, I don't have a boss. Us as real estate agents, we're contractors. So for our brokerages, so we have to have those systems. We have to have that discipline to do the work, because if we don't produce, we don't have a boss that cares. You know, our broker doesn't care if we're making tons of money. So it's up to me to do that. And that's got to carry into every aspect of my life. Because once one thing starts suffering, everything starts to suffer. Or if I'm really heavy in business, I'm not paying attention to my health, and I get into the gym, or I miss a bunch of bedtimes my kids going to bed.
Yeah.
And it was like that before. I didn't like it. I don't like not being, you know, at home when the kids go to bed, or missing a softball game or something like that. So it's having systems, having rules that you're gonna stick to. You know what I mean? And that makes everything on all equities of life, right? You want to have the systems on all equities to make sure everything is firing on all cylinders.
It's kind of like, it sounds like muscle memory, but for your mind. Like you're doing these things day in and day out. But one of the beautiful things about being independent, like both of us are, like if we need to take time off, we have the ability to do that. But on the double-edged sword of that is we know that we have to go back and try twice as hard to recover that extra time. But, I mean, you can't get family time back.
Nope.
So I know myself personally, like being able to dive right in, I was only able to do that because I fell ass backwards into barbering. Like, just family life happened and circumstances kind of dictated that I had to move cross country, didn't cut hair beforehand, landed ass backwards in it, fell into an apprenticeship, and I was losing money every month. But my wife helped me out, and as I was gaining my clientele, I started to feel better and better, and I would watch a whole bunch of motivational videos to not lose that steam, because it's so easy. Like, I would imagine when you're starting out in a real estate brokerage, you don't have that guaranteed money coming in. You're not hourly by any stretch of the imagination. You see this goal, and it's very hard to stay in that mind state that you're going to get there. But do you think having a good family support system, or even like friend support system building you up, do you think surrounding yourself with the right people? Because I know if it wasn't for my wife, I wouldn't have been
it's huge.
Even close to where I'm at.
Yeah, it's huge. And there's, you know, you learn who to not be around, or who to just tune out, and who to make sure you're around more, because I mean, there's people that are energy suckers out there, and sometimes it's family and stuff that's the closest to you that they're the biggest energy suckers, you know, that kind of give you that self-doubt that, like, oh man, you really sure you want to try, you know, doing barber? Are you going to make it as that? Wouldn't it be more comfortable to stay at your little hourly job, or you're going to leave benefits at your nice, architectural job that you've been in for 15 years and your paid vacation, but we see a bigger thing. We see that you and I we're the type of people that we want to have the freedom or at least control, right? I want to live and die by my own sword.
Yeah.
And I know in the past 4 years, I've worked harder than I ever have in my entire life because I had to. So, but yeah, having support, because in the beginning, getting going, that's the challenge, right? Before to getting the steam rolling and to figure out your systems and how you're going to run your day to day. I know there's other people that if they don't have the support system, a great wife or parents or whoever they're around,
hell, even friends just to listen,
talk
them up,
and that are going to push through that initial thing, because you're going to miss some things. So you are going to miss some things in the beginning because you have a bigger goal in mind. You have a picture. Okay, I'm doing this now, so I don't have to do it later. I'm gonna grind and I'm gonna work crazy hours. I'm gonna do whatever it takes now, so I don't have to do that in a couple years. And that's exactly where I'm at. And just you said, you don't have to be, you make the most money in your industry, but the quality of my clients I feel like are better because I do the right things to keep that handful of clients, and concentrate on bringing value, on doing good by them. So I attract the right clients. I don't lose deals very often. Of course, it happens. I get more repeat business that way, get more referral business that way. Just like you said, you're not worried about the money, but somehow when you don't worry about it, it comes. And then everything, now, all the work you've done in the beginning is starting to pay off. And I don't want to say you get comfortable or you want to get comfortable, but it makes it easier to level up again. Does that make sense?
It does. It kind of reminds me of the way that I've recently started to analyze my life. When I'm afraid of something, I know by now that it's the right thing to do. If it scares me, there's a reason. So if it's scaring me, there means that there's a potential for failure. And usually we're creatures of comfort, so we want to stay in our comfortable zone. But I've recently realized that branching out and doing the things that I don't want to do has benefited me in ways that I can't even explain.
Yeah.
I went on to the Scissor Salute show up in New York. It was a live stream, and I had not even been cutting for a year. I was like, man, that's all the way up in New York. That's a full day drive. I was like, I've been working my tail off. It's my day off. I don't know if I want to do that. I'd rather rest.
Yeah.
But really, all those excuses were just me. I am afraid of going on a national show and showcasing and failing. But went up there, did my haircut, gained a little bit more of popularity, if you will. And what I learned is that I brought more confidence back into the shop because I just overcame something. Second thing, I got scouted for Maestros. I'm on their barber veteran team. And when the time came to go to the first actual solo event for myself, which when I say solo, I mean I got selected to be on one of the teams to go up to the Poconos and cut with a few other the guys with NASCAR. Whereas the first event was just all of the barber veteran team getting together, kind of a meet and greet. So it really wasn't too much pressure. Whereas now it would be me cutting athletes.
Right.
I was deathly afraid of going to do it. And I was like, well, I'd have to rearrange my daughter, my custody schedule. I was like, you know what? I don't really want to do that. I got to do this. I got to do that. And I was making excuses in my mind, but I'm like, wait a minute. Am I actually afraid of it, or am I finding excuses?
Yep.
And I realized that it was both. I'm afraid of it and I'm finding excuses, and they're going to continue the circle and just keep on keeping me in this wheel that'll never benefit me. But as soon as I broke out of that, not only the connections that I made, but also the return that I got from my clients just absolutely loving to hear about it, but also the confidence that I brought back into the shop, because cutting people that have a little bit of clout, or at least in my mind have a little bit of clout, and you're cutting outside, not with good lighting, not with a good chair that you're used to, all the creature comforts that I'm used to doing my job with were not there.
Correct.
And I got the job done. So when I went back into my comfort level, I feel like you were talking about that level up.
You just leveled up. Yep.
It's that constant grind where you got to stay uncomfortable. If you're feeling like you're comfortable, seek discomfort. Grow.
Yeah, I think it works both ways. So if you allowed yourself to fall into those excuses. You know what? I think I should just rest, or I don't think I need to shuffle my, my life around just to make this happen. So I'm not going to do it. And then, if you're meal prep for the week, well, I really don't feel like meal prep. So you don't do that. Then I won't get up tomorrow morning and go to the gym. It like works in reverse too. Whereas you just named all the things you did it, and you punched through that, and then you got all these benefits from it. If you didn't do it, it would have set you back. You would have lost time.
Man, I didn't even think of that, to be honest.
So it works absolutely both ways. So, but yeah, who was that? I think David Goggins says, do something hard every single day. Find something, choose the shovel, he says, or choose the wrench.
And that's the ultra marathon Navy SEAL,
yeah,
right?
Yeah. So it's like, and that guy's at a whole nother level. But
yeah.
And I'm not saying go to anything that extreme, but if you just pick one thing that was hard for you and just did it every day, things start to become easier. I try to do it. I'm not always successful at it, because that's just, we're humans.
Yeah.
It happens.
It's a numbers game.
Yeah, but more times than not, I'm moving the needle forward. Like we lose a day here or there, things happen, life happens, whatever the case may be. But if I focus on a couple little things, and getting uncomfortable is huge. Being comfortable with being uncomfortable, not being afraid of that discomfort, and I don't think we'll ever feel like that's at home because there's always something else. You know what I mean? But
yeah.
Man, if you look back, the scale on that is massive, right? You growing businesses, relationships, your health, the little tiny things, right? It's just, I don't know. I think it's pretty amazing. So, but you hit the nail on the head with that.
It's kind of like keeping a carrot right in front of you. You just focused on that carrot, so you keep on moving forward. Mm-hmm. By the time that you're done, like say your end of life, you look back at all the stuff you've done. It like if I just look back in the past 4 years, because that's April will make 4 years that I've been in Delaware and also cutting hair. If I look back on where I came to where I'm at now, I'm still in awe.
Yeah.
But it's from chasing that discomfort, because life handed me the circumstance where it's like, well, your entire life is going to be in a tornado.
Yep.
Hit the ground running, start back from zero.
Yeah.
You have nothing to do except keep moving forward when you're at zero.
Yeah, you wonder if is that like human nature, right? Your fight or flight type thing. Is there certain humans that would just, I'm not going to do it, and this is just my life, and I'm going to accept it, or if it's, you have literally no other choice. There's, and I'll give you a quick example. I don't agree with this. I have a friend that said, I'm getting too comfortable with my money. I need to buy something so my back's against the wall to make more money, to produce, to work harder. And I understand what he's saying. He's like, well, I'm going to make it so I need to make more money, and that'll force me to level up.
Yeah.
Not really my style, but I get what he's after, right? Because he knows.
I prefer to just pretend that it's gone.
Yeah, something. But you moved across country. You got thrown at there was a whole lot of things happening in your world that you needed to succeed. You needed to build a business to be able to have a home and provide and all that good stuff. So you had no other choice but to succeed, right? And I know that's what my friend is talking about. I'm just going to make it so I don't have there's no other choice but to do it. So, I just think that's interesting. You know what I mean? And I think it has something to do with us as humans. It's like when your back's against the wall, you're going to make it work. When you leave to go to vacation, you go on vacation and you run your own business, and it's hard to get away for an extended period of time.
Oh, yeah.
You don't work or get as much stuff done in your business as you do the day before you leave for vacation. It's
Double,
insane.
triple checking everything.
And it's like if somehow you magically get it done, somehow you've set up a week's worth of work, of follow-ups, of talking to every single person in a little short one day, whether it's 4 or 8 hours or whatever it is, you get it done. So tomorrow you could check out for a week, and it's because you had to. There was no other choice. So I guess it just comes out not having excuses, right? If you want to make it work, you make it work. That's really what it is.
I think that's beautifully put. And to circle back to when we were talking about, it's kind of the company that you keep, like there's people that'll talk you up and then there's people that'll bring you down. I think the biggest thing is when people will talk you down, basically they either want to keep you where they're at, or they're going to point to your failure and justify themselves not ever trying.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's one of the biggest things that I've seen just in my experience in life. That would be the biggest pitfall. So if someone could break away from that, and it doesn't matter who that person is or that group of people is, I'd say that the best things in life can come from a complete gamble where you have almost nothing to lose. It'll seem like you have everything to lose, but if those people are not helping you, they're actually in fact hurting you.
100%.
So if you lose them, it's not really like losing anything.
Yep.
So all you have to do is gain positive ground from there, but it's very daunting. So I would say the biggest thing is to just take a gamble on yourself.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that since I've started to be successful, or at least by my definition, I'm successful because people enjoy what I do. Mm-hmm. That's a quick and simple definition for me.
Yeah.
When I started to realize that, I started to see other people that were successful around me, like yourself. And when I talk to my clients like you in the chair, there's just a different air when we're talking compared to the people that are complaining. And there's nothing wrong with complaining, but there's just different mindsets that I see. So I'd say to anyone listening, if you're going to be going out, try to find people that are on the same wavelength as you or better. Like you want to always try to level up, and it comes back to being uncomfortable.
Yeah. And, about people that are in your proximity, I think there's a really big importance in trying to associate or be around people, be in the proximity of people that are where you want to be, but you should also have the other side, that there's people that you want to bring up, because there's where you're at, someone else wants to be as well.
Oh yeah. And
that's with whether it's your fitness level and, and health, losing weight, whether it's business or money, whatever it is. So I like to think of like, all right, well, I do want to be around certain people that are where I want to be, so I could learn from them, but also want to pull people up. And, I'm not going to lie. I feel like I'm pretty fortunate that the tight circle that I have, I'm around a lot of really positive people, super supportive people. I would say, all of my really the closest friends are very, very supportive. They're not energy suckers or time wasters. So, family and that sort of thing. So I am beneficial. I've had very few negative and real people I just kind of don't want to spend time with. So I feel like I'm fortunate in that aspect. And if it's something where, just like I said, if there's people where I want to be, and if there's somebody else that wants to be where I am, I like bringing people up as well. So because it has to go both directions. I always try to look at either side of things. You know what I mean? Nice.
Now, with bringing people up, one last point that I want to kind of go over, because we kind of went off on a little bit of a tangent, which is great. Oh, no, this is completely great. To kind of cycle back to real estate, talking about bringing people up, I've heard that people don't want to buy because they see it as a waste of money. Now, the way that I'm thinking, because they'd rather rent, whether it be an apartment or they'd rather rent a house. Now, what I've always been I'll say told. What I've always been told is you're not really going to lose when you buy a house. Now, the market might go up or down, but it's like a variance of a couple $1,000, really, like $10,000, $20,000. But if you buy like a $200,000 house and it goes down 20,000, like it's still 180,000. So you're not really losing. Is there anything that you could say to someone that's trying to make a smart financial decision and bring themselves up? Is there a financial benefit to being a property owner, like an actual buying a house?
Traditionally, I don't know absolutely everything, but if you look at history, real estate is probably the number one wealth building asset out there, because in the long game, and any investment you make should be the long game, it's always has a positive return. Like, yes, we have, peaks and valleys, and everybody knows about the crash in 2008, and 2008 to 2012, 13, 14, things started rebounding, and we're just now getting back up to where those prices and everything were then. But, even if you bought then, over time, the next 20 years, it's still trending upward. So, they're trying to stay on one thing at a time here, but there's a couple different ways to look at it. If I'm going to buy a home for me to live in for a long time, then I'm building equity in that home. So when I sell it, the idea is to buy it at $200,000, sell it at $250,000. You've gained $50,000. You then roll it into another piece of real estate that you bought for $250,000, and then it's worth $300,000, $350,000. So you're building wealth that way, building equity that way. Or if you just happened upon $1 million, right? You can't live off that $1 million. That $1 million isn't doing anything for you. It's not making you money.
Yeah.
So you will put it in an asset, an asset that's going to give you a cash flow. So if I have $1 million and I bought, 3 duplexes that I could rent out for $1,000 each, now, I'm making, $6,000 a month off of my $1 million. All while, so I'm making that return every single month. All while over time, this asset is gaining value. So now over, let's just say 20 years, I've made $6,000 a month over 20 years, whatever that works out to be math-wise. And then you still have the savings account here. Now I go to sell that, liquidate that asset, and now it's worth $2 or $3 million. You get what I'm saying? So now you've created long-term wealth that way, and you've built up this initial investment. So not only have you made millions of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars off of that, money just keep paying you. Now that's worth more money. So the two different ways, whether the owner-occupant investment of a home or the investor investment of a home.
Okay. Now, around our generation, like you had talked about the crash, I would surmise that a lot of our generation seen that crash and really doesn't have a really good warm and fuzzy because of it.
Yeah.
Now, do you think that a better way to look at it is if you were to just dump all your money into a rental, it's not going towards you. It never will.
Yep.
But if you have that same money, which normally a rental is going to cost more than if you were to buy. But let's say it's all the same across the board. But that money eventually goes to pay that off. Now, a lot of people don't know what they're doing in the next 5 years. They don't really have a plan, especially like in our generation. So do you think it would still be something worthwhile to consider purchasing a home, because then you can also then rent it out afterward,
Correct.
especially since there seems to be a consensus where renting is better? So do you think if someone wants to elevate themselves, that they could look at buying a property as not just a home for themselves, but a potential, like you were talking about, financial endeavor? Because it's one thing to say like just finding or happening upon $1 million. It'd be super nice if like an inheritance or you just kind of hit the lottery. But as far as like the nitty gritty, like the people that will be like talking to you, trying to get their first, second home, whatever, do you think that that would be a good way to approach it if they're hesitant to not only look at it like they're going to be living in it, but also like, hey, if something goes south, this can still make me money because people need to live. And it seems like the consensus is a rental market.
We always need shelter. Well, we will always need shelter. There's always going to be a big populace of people that are not financially ready to purchase a home or don't qualify for a mortgage. They still need places to live, so they're going to be renters. I've been through that exact scenario a number of times where you say about someone that's not really sure, or in our area, locally here, we have a lot of military. I had one of my clients, this was 3 years ago, bought a home, and it wasn't, I don't know, months, 6 months, 7 months. Then he got orders. He had to leave. And there's no way to see that coming. Purchased a home. He thought, hey, I'm going to have my roots here in Dover, Delaware. And then all of a sudden he gets orders. Now he still owns the home. And he already knew, well, it's a good rental market. I'm around a military base. And now he's got an income producing property that he owns. Now he's making a couple bucks every month on that. And more importantly, someone else is paying off his debt. So as he's making on what you're talking about, this is a normal everyday person, not a millionaire or whatever the case may be. He's making a couple dollars, not life-changing money, but someone else is paying off his debt. He's building equity in a home. Fast forward 20 years from now, that house, someone else paid it off, and he's made a couple dollars on it. Now he has a nice asset that he could liquidate. It's basically a savings account for him. And it's still, in my mind, it's still your fastest track to retirement is if you had tons of real estate or a little bit of real estate, because it's always going to produce an income for you.
Awesome.
But that's definitely a conversation I've had with a number of people. It is a for real concern, especially the younger couples. You don't know if are they getting married? Are they already married? Are they plan on having kids, or are they military? They could get orders to go somewhere. The bottom line is you're going to pay anyway. You're going to pay somebody's rent. You might as well pay off your mortgage. Don't pay off someone else's mortgage.
Touche.
Right? So, and then, hey, if you got to uproot yourself before it's feasible for you to sell, then hey, let's rent it and let's have someone else pay that debt for you, and you can make a couple bucks a month off of it.
Awesome, man. I really appreciate your time.
Yep, absolutely.
Is there anything else that you'd like to go over?
No, unless there's anything else for you.
No, sir.
It's been awesome.
What I would say, though, is how would people get in touch with you?
So social media platforms, of course, I'm mainly on Facebook, a little bit on Instagram. Jeri Sheats on Facebook, at Jeri Sheats, JeriSheats on Instagram. Those are probably the two platforms that people can look me up on.
Awesome. I appreciate it. And then if you wouldn't mind, go ahead, like, subscribe. Find me on YouTube. It'll be Combat Barber, no underscores, no numbers, no nothing. Instagram, Combat Barber, no underscores, no nothing. Facebook will be at Diaz, DIAS, Combat Barber. Thank you very much, and hope you enjoyed the range.
Thanks, buddy.
Appreciate it.
You. Thanks, man.